Intro: the calm before the storm. There's a moment every man faces in his life. When she looks you in the eyes one day and the next acts like you were never even there. When the warmth turns cold, the messages stop, and the silence that follows feels louder than thunder. You start wondering, what changed? Was it something you said? Was it something you didn't do? And before long, your mind becomes your own worst enemy, replaying every moment, every word, trying to make sense of the emptiness. But Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled both Rome and his own emotions, once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, and that means when she ignores you, your power is not in chasing her. Your power is in silence, not silence born from weakness but from strength. Because when you go quiet, when you detach, when you no longer need to explain yourself, the universe shifts. She begins to feel something she never expected. The weight of your absence, the echo of your silence, the price of what she took for granted. This is not about games. It's not about ego. It's about self-respect. It's about understanding that attention is energy, and you are done wasting yours on someone who doesn't see its value. This, my brother, is where your transformation begins. Not in the noise, not in the begging, not in the texts she leaves unread, but in that unbreakable stillness inside you. That calm storm where a man finally learns to walk alone with power. The reality of being ignored. She ignored you. Maybe slowly, maybe suddenly. But it happened and it hurt, didn't it? Because you gave your attention honestly. You gave your energy, your time, your curiosity. And in return you were met with silence. But here's the truth. Her silence was not rejection. It was revelation. It revealed her values. It revealed her maturity. It revealed the depth of her own emotional world. And Marcus Aurelius reminds you, when another blames you or hates you or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety, that they should hold any particular opinion about you. She ignored you because she could, and you let her because you thought silence meant peace. But real peace isn't found in her response, it's found in your reaction. When a woman ignores you, she's testing your sense of self. She's seeing if your worth depends on her validation. And most men fail this test, and they beg, they chase, they try to explain. They send that one last message hoping to change her mind. But what if Marcus Aurelius was right? What if your true strength lies not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say? Because silence is not the absence of communication. It's the loudest language of self-respect. When you withdraw your energy, she starts to feel it. The same way a room feels emptier when a strong presence leaves it. Your silence becomes magnetic. It starts echoing in her mind when she scrolls through her messages and doesn't see your name anymore. When her notifications are quiet. When the attention she once took for granted disappears. Remember this. The moment you stop trying to be understood is the moment you become mysterious. And mystery is power. So don't break your silence. Let her sit with it. Let her feel what it's like to lose your calm, steady presence. The kind of presence that doesn't beg to be noticed. The power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've matured enough to understand that you cannot force someone to see your worth. Marcus wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That's the essence of this moment. She ignored you, but you have the power to decide what happens next. You can chase her and lose yourself, or you can hold your silence and find yourself again. The world tells you that silence is weakness, that you should explain, defend, prove. But Stoicism teaches the opposite, that the strongest men are those who can walk away without making a sound. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. It's the quiet rebuilding of your mind, your focus, your purpose. While she's wondering where you went, you're already evolving. You're already transforming that pain into fuel. Let her wonder why you're no longer reaching out. Let her curiosity grow. Let her silence meet yours, until it becomes unbearable. Because that's the paradox of ignoring someone who's truly grounded. You lose more by ignoring him than he ever lost by being ignored. When you detach, you create space. And in that space, she begins to realize what she lost. Your calm, your consistency, your masculine energy that doesn't need validation. This is not revenge. It's realignment. You're not punishing her. You're protecting yourself. You're choosing peace over chaos, dignity over desperation. And one day she will remember your silence, not as a void, but as a mirror that showed her exactly who she was. The mirror of silence. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it's a mirror. And when you hold it long enough, people start to see themselves reflected in it. When she ignored you, she thought your silence was submission. She assumed it meant you were waiting. But the truth? Your silence was observation. You weren't waiting for her, you were watching her. You were watching her patterns, her energy, her priorities. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your silence is painting your soul with calm, not chaos. Each moment you resist the urge to text, to explain, to chase, you're teaching yourself discipline. You're reprogramming your instincts. Because silence is not passive. It's active restraint. It's proof that you no longer seek peace from someone else. You create it within yourself. When she ignored you, you were tempted to make noise. You wanted to be seen, to be heard, to remind her of your worth. But now your silence is doing what your words never could, and it's making her wonder. She may not show it. She might pretend she doesn't care, but deep inside she feels the imbalance. She senses the absence of your energy. The silence becomes heavy and it begins to echo. That echo is powerful, my friend, because it reminds her that not every man chases. Not every man begs for closure. Some men simply go silent and in doing so become unforgettable. You are not ignoring her back. You're mastering yourself. You're letting her learn, through the void, what your presence truly meant. And that is the mirror of silence. It doesn't punish. It reveals. It doesn't scream. It teaches. It doesn't destroy. It clarifies. The man who can stay silent when others demand reaction is the man who has already won the inner battle. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest conquest was his own mind. Now it's your turn to conquer your emotions, to let silence become your strength, not your weakness. The rebuild. When you stop chasing her, you start rebuilding you. Because every ounce of energy you were giving to her, you now pour back into yourself. The gym, the grind, the goals you forgot, the peace you sacrificed trying to be understood. This is the chapter where you rise in quiet focus. Marcus said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one, that's your mission now. Not to prove her wrong, but to prove yourself right. You rebuild your structure from the ground up. You sharpen your mind. You find purpose again, in the work, the silence, the stillness. And here's the truth most men never realize. The moment you redirect your attention inward, everything begins to shift outward. She starts noticing your absence not because you're trying to get noticed, but because your silence now carries momentum. You're no longer emotionally available for her confusion. You're too busy becoming your best self. You see, detachment is not about indifference. It's about value. It's about saying, I care about myself too much to keep chasing someone who can't see me. And when you rebuild with purpose, your silence turns into presence. You start walking differently. You start speaking less, but your words weigh more. You enter rooms with energy that needs no introduction. That's the Stoic way. To become so grounded that no rejection, no silence, no disappearance can shake your foundation. Remember, she ignored you when you were giving her attention. But she'll remember you when your silence becomes strength. Because women don't forget peace. They remember the man who carried it effortlessly. You are no longer that man waiting by the phone. You are the man walking his path, unbothered, unshaken, unchained. This is your rebuild. This is your resurrection. The return of power. Power doesn't shout. It whispers. It's quiet, controlled, centered. And when you've mastered silence, your power returns naturally, without effort, without force. Marcus Aurelius taught that, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That is power, restraint in the midst of emotion. When she ignored you, you felt powerless because you were reacting to something you couldn't control. But the moment you accepted her silence, you reclaimed control. Your detachment unsettles her because it's rare. You're not playing the same emotional game anymore. You've evolved beyond it. You no longer chase. You attract. You no longer react. You reflect. And the beautiful paradox is this. When you no longer need her attention, that's when she feels your absence the most. Not because you punished her, but because your energy became rare. In a world where everyone's desperate for attention, your silence is pure gold. She might come back. They often do. But you won't be the same man she ignored. You'll be calmer, wiser, sharper. You'll speak less but mean more. You'll move slower but with purpose, and she'll feel it. The weight of your silence now turned into presence. Your value is no longer tied to her attention. It's tied to your purpose. It's tied to your growth. It's tied to your peace, and that, brother, is the price of your silence. Not revenge, not ego, just evolution. The man she ignored has disappeared, and in his place stands a man who owes nothing and commands everything. The awakening. There comes a moment after the silence when something inside you shifts. It's quiet, subtle, but irreversible. You stop checking your phone. You stop replaying old conversations. And one morning you wake up, and the weight you carried in your chest is gone. That's the awakening. It's not a loud explosion of change. It's a whisper of freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." It's a reminder that time is the most precious thing you own, and you were wasting it waiting for someone who didn't see it. But not anymore. Now every second matters. You've awakened to a truth that few men ever understand. Your peace is sacred. Your focus is priceless. Your attention is your currency, and you give it only to those who've earned it. You start seeing clearly. You see how much of your value was buried under someone's indifference. You see how much of your potential was waiting behind your pain. And suddenly silence is no longer a weapon. It's a lifestyle. You stop needing to be heard because you've learned to listen to yourself. You stop needing to prove because you've learned to be. She ignored you because she thought you were replaceable, but your silence made her realize you were rare. You didn't chase. You didn't beg. You didn't lose your dignity in the storm of emotions. You stood still, like the emperor who ruled not with noise but with calm. This is the awakening of a man who knows his worth. A man who no longer measures himself through another's validation. A man who walks through the fire and comes out forged, not burned. And now the silence that once hurt you is the same silence that heals you. The Stoic path. Now you stand at a crossroads of the path of reaction or the path of reflection. Most men go back. They break their silence. They send that one last message. But not you. Not anymore. You've chosen the Stoic path. The road of the few, the strong. The disciplined Marcus Aurelius once guided himself through chaos by writing, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's your power now. To revoke the importance of what once controlled you. To take back your peace from the hands of indifference. The Stoic path is not cold and it's clear. It's the calm acceptance of what you cannot control, and the fierce protection of what you can. Your mindset, your energy, your direction. She ignored you, but in that silence, you discovered yourself. You learned that emotional discipline is the ultimate form of freedom, because no one can break a man who has already mastered his own emotions. You are no longer seeking closure from her. You found closure within you. And as you walk this Stoic path, your silence becomes your shield, your patience becomes your sword, and your self-control, your throne. You are no longer reacting to life. You are leading it. You no longer need her validation. You have your vision. You no longer crave her attention. You have your purpose. That is what separates the ordinary from the unshakable. That is what transforms heartbreak into wisdom. That is what makes your silence echo through eternity. The emperor within. In the end, it was never about her. It was about you. She was a chapter. But you, my brother, are the whole book. You are the author, the lesson, and the rebirth. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth. Yet his greatest victories were never on the battlefield. They were inside his own mind. And now you follow in his footsteps. You've learned that silence is not surrender, it's mastery. You've learned that walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to your energy, and that the right people will never make you beg for it. So let her feel the price of that silence. Not through revenge, not through ego, but through your evolution. Let her see the man who rose from being ignored to being unshakable. Let her witness the man who speaks with his presence, not his words. Let her remember the man whose calm became louder than her pride, because one day, she'll realize that silence was not your punishment. It was her lesson, and as you walk away, remember these words from Marcus Aurelius. Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look there. That source is within you, unbreakable, unmoved, untouchable. You are no longer the man who waits for a reply. You are the man who moves with purpose, discipline, and peace. She ignored you, but you listened. You learned. You became, and that, my brother, is the true power of silence.